this point was an ideology that's far bigger, that we have to understand this. I mean, after World War II in Germany, we had America House to reteach Germans about democracy, to teach them about rule of law. Maybe we need America House here, once again, to tell us about what is.
Let me ask you a serious question, and I want you to really think hard before answering this one. When did enforcing the law suddenly become Nazism? No, seriously. When did saying, hey, if you're here illegally and you committed violent crimes, maybe you shouldn't be here, turn you into Hitler reincarnated? Because apparently, that's where we are now, and today's story proves it.
People keep trying to make this about Trump. They keep trying to make this about racism. They keep trying to make this about vibes and feelings. But what's actually happening right now is something way bigger. This is an ideological war, and it's getting unhinged. Today, we're talking about a major anti-ICE website getting hacked, politicians casually talking about re-educating Americans, and activists leaking federal agent locations like it's a game. And somehow, they think they're the good guy. There's a website called stopice.net. And no, it's not just activism. This site was crowdsourcing ICE agent locations. We're talking ICE vehicles, license plates, agent photos, real-time locations. Let me ask another silly question. What could possibly go wrong with leaking federal law enforcement locations online? I'll wait. Exactly. Now here's the funny part. The site got hacked, and not just defaced, I mean completely compromised. Usernames, passwords, locations, admin info, all exposed, and according to the hackers, sent straight to federal authorities. So let me get this straight. The people screaming about fascism were literally doxing federal agents, but they're the resistance? Make it make sense. Here's the irony nobody wants to talk about. These same people say, no one is illegal, but somehow police are illegal, borders are illegal, enforcement is illegal. Yet, leaking agent locations is totally fine? Let me ask you this one too. If a random citizen did this to a police department, what would happen to them? Exactly. They'd be arrested yesterday. But when it's ICE, suddenly it's community defense. Defense from what? The law?
We have generational trauma at attempt to destroy our state like nothing in our state's history. And once it's over, what they found out in South Africa and other places is you might bring back the guy who did the shooting, you might put him on trial. But I think everybody recognizes this point was an ideology that's far bigger, that we have to understand this. I mean, after World War II in Germany, we had America House to reteach Germans about democracy, to teach them about rule of law. Maybe we need America House here, once again, to tell us about what is.
Did you catch that? Let it sink in for a second. Tim Walz isn't just talking about policy. He's comparing millions of Americans to post-World War II Nazis. He's using the America House, a program designed to denazify Germany, as a blueprint for how to handle his own fellow citizens today. When they talk about re-education, that's not a slip of the tongue. That's not a metaphor. That is an ideology leaking out loud. And it's not just Walz. You've got Hakeem Jeffries talking about putting people on ICE permanently. You see the pattern? They frame anyone who wants a secure border or rule of law as a threat that needs to be fixed or removed. Let me ask a dumb question. If a Republican stood on a stage and said we need to build camps to re-educate Democrats, what would the media headlines look like tomorrow? They'd call it authoritarian. They'd call it fascist. They'd say it's the end of the world. But when the left says it, suddenly it's protecting democracy. It's progress. It's a classic gaslighting tactic. They label you the insurgent so they can justify using the power of the state against you. They aren't interested in a conversation anymore. They are interested in compliance. Funny how democracy only seems to count when you agree with them.
So this might just be one of the most satisfying X posts I think I've ever seen. I opened up my X account, and the first thing that I see is a post from our friend Data Republican. Do you want to see it? You all know Data Republican. She's been on the Patriot Source podcast a couple times, but she is probably one of the leading AI engineers that are involved in some of the investigations that are happening into the color revolution. Well, she started partnering with people like Cam Higbee and all the other folks who've been investigating the ICE Watch organizations, and now also trying to figure out how is it that these people are able to scan license plates and identify federal agents. Well, apparently there's been some additional work going on. I remember seeing the other day, 0 Hour, who's one of my favorite accounts over on X, made a comment, said something to the effect of, well, it seems the only thing that we needed to do to help ICE was just send in a bunch of nerds. Do you see this? Data Republican says, major breaking. The largest ICE license plate tracker, Stop ICE, has been compromised. If you visit the ICE or Stop ICE license plate tracker, you will notice all their plates have been overwritten with the following image. And it's an image of Tom Holman saying, hello, stopice.net. All your logins, locations, passwords, phone numbers have been given to the FBI and ICE. And sure enough, when you get into the stopice.net website, all of the images of the vehicles have been replaced by that meme.
Here's the part that really exposes the disconnect. The loudest anti-ICE activists have never crossed a border illegally, have never seen cartel violence, have never dealt with trafficking firsthand. But you know who supports ICE? Legal immigrants, Hispanic ICE agents, Black and working-class Americans, people who remember why borders exist. They know about the Darien Gap, cartel exploitation, forced prostitution, children being trafficked. But sure, let's call them racist. Another silly one. Why do the people protecting immigrants never listen to immigrants? Weird, right? The left loves to protest, they love to hack ICE databases, and they love to chant, no human is illegal. But here is the one question they absolutely refuse to answer. If ICE is gone, who does the job? This isn't just about families looking for a better life. We are talking about the reality of the system. Who is going to track down and deport the violent offenders? Who handles the repeat criminals and the convicted predators who have no right to be on our streets? See, the Stop ICE crowd acts like the border should run on vibes and hashtags. But a vibes-based immigration policy isn't a system. It's a suicide pact for a nation. When you block enforcement, when you leak the names of agents, and when you refuse to offer a single viable replacement for ICE, you aren't showing compassion. You are inviting chaos. And here's the irony. A lot of the ICE agents they hate, they are Hispanic. They are immigrants who did it the right way. They know the truth about the cartels and the victims that the white progressive liberals in DC like to ignore. The left wants you to believe that wanting a border makes you a Nazi who needs re-education. But in reality, wanting a border just means you want a country that actually functions. But the rhetoric doesn't stop with activists. It goes all the way to the top. Look at Hakeem Jeffries. He openly says a political opponent needs to be put on ICE permanently. What does that even mean? When leaders use this kind of aggressive language while calling the other side dangerous, it shows a massive double standard. Between Tim Walz's re-education talk and Jeffries' put on ICE comments, it's clear the political temperature is hitting a breaking point. This isn't just debate anymore. It's starting to look like a push for total control.
Disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ICE permanently. She's got to go. And by the way, she's not the only one.
So let's recap. Anti-ICE activists leaked federal agent data. Their own site got hacked due to incompetence. Politicians are openly talking about re-education. And somehow, we're the extremists? I'll leave you with a few final questions, and I want you to answer these in the comments. Is enforcing immigration law actually racist or just inconvenient? If ICE is evil, who replaces them? When politicians say re-education, should we just ignore that? And lastly, am I crazy, or does this feel like things are going way too far? Let me know, because I'm sure the comments will be very educational.